Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Rough, Charlie Adam and Tam McManus with me here in the studio to look ahead to Scottish Cup semi-final weekend. And what a weekend it's going to be. At the semi-final stage, the last thing you want to be tasting is defeat. That success can catapult you into legendary status, Roughie, if you win the cup for your favourite team.
Yeah, supporters have got long memories, and if you're part of that sensational day, it tends to come up. Well, they're bringing them up every 10 year now, 20 year, 30 year. They're not waiting to 50 or anything like that. So, no, supporters cling on to any success you have at your club, and these four clubs have got a great chance of winning it, and become legends.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can give us your thoughts on who you think is going to win the Scottish Cup semi-finals and your reaction to some of the other stories doing the rounds today. Hi to John Donald, who's out there in Birmingham. Niall with us, Mary, Michael Climie, as ever, always a supporter of the show. Andrew Davidson, Lindsay Buchanan, Alison, Sarah Carroll, Gordon McFadgen, Rick Stark from Canada, no less. And Paul Baird's out there in Derry. Dave Pillins, I hope I pronounced that right. Dave, Craig Barber, Tam Lee, and Rick Stark's out there in Canada as well. It's just as many as I could possibly mention to start with. And of course, we never forget somebody's out there in the West Midlands, Stuart, who always watches the show. So hopefully I've given as many of you a mention as I possibly can without detracting from the main stories. Have you got butterflies, Tam, ahead of Dundee United against Hibs?
Listen, it's a huge game for the club, Peter, there's no doubt about it. And there's still, believe it or not, a few doubters about Jack Ross, I think, amongst the Hibs support. So I think he needs to win. I think Hibs need to finish third this season and at least get to the final. So it'll be a tough game. I was just thinking it'll be an interesting call in goals tomorrow, because Macy's played all the cup games and Marciano is the number one. So will he stick to his word and play Macy tomorrow? Will he, for me, play his strongest team and that's Marciano in it? So that's a big call, I think, for Jack tomorrow. Gogic is missing. I think Halberg will come in. So listen, there may be a few changes in there, but Hibs need to go out and perform. Simple as that. And if they do that, I think they'll win.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, it's one of those days, as many a Hibs fan will tell you, Roughie, when you get to the final itself and then to actually celebrate at the end of it. I mean, the 2016 will go down in history, never be forgotten by Hibs fans because of the enormity of waiting such a long time and the way it was won as well. I think you'd be hard pressed to try and never mind emulate it, actually beat it as a memory for Hibs fans.
No, I think Hibs fans will remember that forever. Unfortunately, we don't want to remember the end of the game when it spilled onto the park. That spoiled it a wee bit for everybody. But certainly the win and the way the win came about, that they'll be hoping that they can do that again. And Jack Ross won't want to be going for a treble or semi-final defeats. That's something that fans will remember as well. So he needs to get that one done and dusted. But it's up to them. I think we all know that Dundee United aren't the strongest. I don't think they're the strongest of the four teams, but they produced a result up at Aberdeen that nobody saw coming. So they'd have to have that level of performance again, because I just think Hibs are too strong for them.
Well, that's a positive end to that statement, Charlie, because Ruffy's a right barrel of laughs. He managed to recall the full-scale fight at the end and the fact that Hibs have been pumped out at the semi-final stage on more than a few occasions. Yes, exuberance. There was another classic Rod Petrie PR line at the end of it. But nevertheless... listen, with a bit of luck, we'll get Charlie back. I think he might be frozen. Either that or somebody has just told him an unbelievable gag, Tam. And Ruffy now... No, I was just about to say, Ruffy now can't tell the difference between Charlie in full flow and Charlie frozen on the screen. So, but nevertheless, Tam...
But the thing you've got to watch about it, you can't say anything about him because we might not be able to see him, but he can hear us.
Oh, absolutely. But Ruffy managing to put there he's there. I was just saying, Charlie, you missed Ruffy managing to put everybody in the doldrums at Hibs for all that went on after the last Scottish Cup win. and of course the fact that they've lost in semi-finals of late.
Yeah, it seems to be a bit of a bugbear for them, doesn't it? But I think Hibs, if they turn up on the day, they'll win this. And I think Hibs are the main team to win the trophy. But you've got to go and perform, haven't you? And, you know, at Hampden, it's obviously a difficult situation. So we'll see what happens. But if both teams turn up, I just think Hibs will edge it.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. We'll look at the teams in depth as well. Get your thoughts on it. You can give us your thoughts on Facebook. Don't forget to hit the follow button and, of course, subscribe to us on our YouTube channel and give us your thoughts as well. William Webb says, hi from Central Queensland. Tam's Auntie Martha says hello to Roughie. I'm not quite sure if you've got an Auntie Martha out there, Tam, but if you have, she likes Roughie. It's as simple there. Anyway, the actual enormity of it and what happens when you win the cup, you only have to ask all the 2016 Hibs side. And I think Jack Ross is trying to emphasise what can be achieved if the players do the business in the final and the final.
To go in to make yourself part of the club's very fabric and history, you win silverware. That's what the players did in 2016. And rightly deserve their place in club football. But this group that I'm working with at the moment, if that opportunity is there for them to do that, and as you said, they will shift from being a group of players that people will remember as having had a good season or performed at a level that this club hasn't done regularly enough, to one that goes down in folklore, and it's a very obvious incentive for them as well.
Tam, you're probably better placed than most to assess the Hibs side. I thought the 2016 team had a number of, I think it was a better side than the one that's going into this semi-final, because you had the likes of an Anthony Stokes, you had Liam Henderson there as well, you had David Gray, who was not quite at the end of his. You had McGinn as well. I mean, it was such a good side. Yeah, you know, is this a good team, and is it a good manager? Is he better than a kind of, or does he offer more than what Alan Stubbs offered?
It's difficult because Hibs didn't win the championship that season. They were a championship club when they played Rangers. They couldn't get out there. I think Falkirk beat them in the playoffs. So, you know, Neil Lennon came in the following season and introduced, I think, that winning mentality and got them out of the division. But you look back at that 2016 team, excellent side. You know, as you said, David Gray, Liam Fontaine, the midfield three were excellent. McGinn was in there, Bartley, and you had Stokes coming. So, listen, it was a very, very good side. But, you know, this current team has an opportunity to equal that. To go and win the Scottish Cup this season would be absolutely fantastic. As you said, Hibs have only won it once in the last 100 odd years. So, it's a great opportunity for the current crop to, and Jack Ross is right there. It can finish in third. You know, it would be a really good season if only finished third twice in the last 20 years. So it's not something that happens at the club a lot. So, but it could be a magnificent season. It could be a season that Hibs fans will never forget, finishing third and winning the Scottish Cup. So it's all up to those players tomorrow to go out and perform the way they can. And I feel that if they do that, if they perform at their highest level, I feel as if they're a better side than Dundee United. So semi-finals, you need to turn up, and Hibs, for me, haven't they really turned up the last two, so the pressure's on tomorrow.
You can always tell when it's a big game, Charlie. There's always a story linking one of the players away to a club down south, and and today is no different. Again, Naismith this time linked with Brentford.
Yeah, no, listen, he's had a great season, isn't he? He's first year in the Premier League, and I think it's testament to him from bouncing back from losing his dad. It's a huge loss for him and his family, and yeah, he had that little spell outside out of the game, you know, on the bench and that. But he reacted in the right way, and he's got a chance of going to the Euros with Scotland as well. But if he's on his game, and you know, it'll be an interesting matchup between, you know, obviously Shanklin on one side and Nisbet on the other. So no, I think I really like Nisbet. I think he's a good player, and you know, when you've got good players and you score goals, you're obviously going to get linked to clubs, especially down south.
Here's a lovely way you've set this up, Charlie, is the fact that it is indeed two strikers, Roughie, that in the remaining games of the season could be a couple, could be four, for either striker, Shankland and Nisbet. And Steve Clarke will undoubtedly be looking at these two and thinking, okay, if I've got a dilemma, if I've got to pick 4 or 5 strikers, here's your chance in this game, of all games, and maybe all the way, to the end of the season. What an opportunity to really send that final message.
Yeah, you would like to think that both players are saying that exact thing to themselves. This is, you're on a semi-final where everybody's going to be watching it, the manager's going to be watching it. The performance, I know it sounds silly, but a really, really good performance, a couple of goals, a hat-trick, would put everything you've done behind you, because the manager, I think, will be looking at foreign players. He'll be looking at guys who are confidence to go into another level. I think Nisbet just shares it just now. I don't think Lawrence has had the season he's had before. That might be no fault of his own. That might be just because the Dundee team haven't been playing particularly well and not giving them the supply. But I think just now, Nisbet just get his nose in front in this one. But as I said, Shankland goes into that game and is the man of the match and does something special. It would then give the manager something to think about. But again, I think they're different strikers. I think it depends what kind of striker the Scotland manager wants to add to his squad, because I think they're just completely different strikers.
Yeah, and they're up against the Dundee United side, Charlie. What's the word in the city about their hopes? Because at times people have been highly critical of where they think Dundee United should have finished. Some have been critical of the way they played. Mickey Mellon, on the other hand, has been continually, talking about the achievements of just coming up from the Championship and staying in that division.
No, I think Mickey's done it right. It's hard. They were in the Championship for a few years, and to then get out of it, and because they're a big club and they have a good budget, they expect them to go and should be in the top 6. It doesn't work like that. The players, for me, they're a Championship still group of players, with an added sprinkling of McNulty. Clark's done really well from this year. Shankland scored the odd goal, so it's difficult. I think, like you say, you've got to get up and then get your feet on the ground and build from that. Next season we'll see hopefully a better Dundee United team. But listen, they're confident. I think the last couple of results have been not to the level they expected. Obviously, Mickey's made a few changes, but if for Dundee United to get to a Scottish Cup final after the season they've had coming up from the Championship, it'll be a great occasion for them. But it's you just got to turn up on the day. And over the piece, I think Dundee United in the Cup have been better than they have been in the league. That performance up at Aberdeen has put them in good stead for this semi-final.
Yeah, Dundee United manager Mickey Mellon keen to highlight the fact that he's in no doubt about the players that got him there.
It's almost the entire Championship team, barring, I think, McNulty, Edwards, Fuchs, that play all the time. And then the subs that come on, probably more often than not, were all from that group as well. So they deserve so much credit for it and don't often get the credit that they deserve, and always fight to try and get them that, because it wasn't just by fluke. They've worked their backsides off to try and get to this situation, and so good. But we want to continue. We want the story to keep going.
Well, listen, Hibs are red-hot favourites for this one. If Dundee United get there again, a manager's stock goes up if he gets a side to a cup final. So Mickey Mellon will be well aware of that. I think Jack Ross might feel as if it'll be slightly tarnished if he can't get them there because they're favourites. So in my book, I think Hibs will win this with a couple to spare, Tam. What about yourself?
I think it'll be tight. I think it'll be tighter, Peter. Honestly, I think it'll be a tight game. I can see both teams scoring. I think both have got good strikers, good strike forces. As you said there, McNulty, a couple of great goals against Aberdeen. Shankland's always dangerous. A player I rate really highly. You've got Doidge, who's got 5 and 4 against Dundee United. Nisbet, Boyle. So I think there'll be goals in the game. And I'm going to go for a thriller. I'm going to go for 3-2 to Hibs.
Oh, a thriller! Wow, 3-2. It's a favourite Hibs scoreline, Roughie. What are you going for?
I'm going to go for a Hibs win as well. I don't think Dundee United's performances have been spectacular. If you take that Aberdeen game out of the equation, it's been pretty average. The only thing worry for me would be the Hibs players getting that semi-final thing out of their mind. And the only way you'll do that is by scoring an early goal and going up and the confidence lifts. So I'm like Tam. I think they've got match winners in there. I would like to think the players have learned their lesson for the last two semi-finals, and I'm going to go Hibs to win 3-1.
Charlie?
I'll go Hibs to win 2-1.
Wow, so we're all Hibbies for the first semi-final. Just before we go on to the next semi-final, I mean, obviously players are going to move on undoubtedly from either team. Shankland is a key man, Naismith. I noticed that you've tweeted out, Tam, that you think Celtic should make a move maybe for the Hibs goalkeeper. This is one of your tweets from today. Do you think he's good enough?
Definitely, Peter. I think he's definitely good enough. I think he's better than anything that Celtic have got at the minute. So I know he's had offers from Scotland. So I'm looking at it and going, so where do you go from Hibs? Aberdeen, possibly. But you may as well you may as well stay at Hibs if you're going to go to Aberdeen. Celtic, Rangers don't need a goalkeeper. I think McLaughlin and McGregor, they're two very good goalkeepers. So Celtic have definitely got to be in the market for a goalie. So I would be very surprised if Celtic didn't make some sort of move for Marciano. I know it's difficult at the minute. They've not got a manager, they've not got a head of recruitment, but surely somebody in at Celtic are thinking he'd be a great signing on a free as a number one or a number two. I think it's a no-brainer to get an international class goalkeeper for nothing.
Yeah, okay. David Kilmister thinks it's going to be 3-1 to Dundee United. I might as well try and strike a balance here with some of the people who think it's going to be United who are going to come out on top. It certainly would be a massive result for United. Could be considered a shock on the basis that the bookies certainly have Hibs not only favourites to win the semi-final, but go on and win the final as well. Just before we talk about that main semi-final, I don't know about you, You should.
He's nervous, isn't he?
Listen, well, not only are you nervous, you should tweet. It was out there, so I thought I might as well throw a few questions.
You're so busy.
Well, I know exactly. Listen, the head's going. It's the journalist in me. Wise up, you will you? And the other thing I was going to say, Roughie, is I don't know about you and Charlie, Tam, you're going to have to be honest about this. Sometimes when you see an advert on Facebook, and you think, oh, that'll look good. Just a big giant slipper where you and your wife could watch the telly and just put all your feet in. And it's a classic Billy Connolly. And there's all these little things that you can buy that seem to be great, but then again, they end up being rubbish. And one of them I got, Roughie, was this yellow thing that allows you to pin it into the wall and you can put up your hooks and then you can put your frames up and they're all even. And I just wonder, Roughie, because of the flack you've taken over the last couple of weeks, I've had a look behind you, Roughie, and your picture frames look as if they have all been balanced. Somebody has been in your house and has gone to work on everything behind you, because that is the neatest I have ever seen your room.
No, I have to say, when I can't remember the boy's name for Australia. Obviously he's down in Australia, they're going to be a wee bit lopsided anyway. But no, I got up one day and went to the back of the room and I had a look and he was bang on, he was right. So I tried to straighten them a wee bit, so they're a wee bit better. In fact, it was so bad I started going round the whole house straightening all the pictures. It really got to me because they are all ordered. Once he said it, I started looking about and I went, he's right. The whole place is lopsided.
Yeah, I knew that. I had this image. It was actually Andy who's out in Australia, but I had this image of you, Roughie, going around with a spirit level, and just making sure they're all looking absolutely fantastic. There you are.
There's the dog. The only jersey I never straightened was Kubius's. I just left that to a slant.
Yeah, I think famous one.
That's the help you sat on your... Oh, shut up.
That is outrageous, brilliant. That's good. You can tell it's
doesn't help when he's sat in his wallet, do you?
No,
that's
exactly.
Maybe why they're lopsided.
Andy Wilson says, perfect, Roughie. He's happy with it. That's Andy in Australia, Roughie, who actually started it all off with us. So fantastic, Andy. He's been paying attention to you. See, everybody reacts to what you've got to say. More to talk about. Semi-final, the other one, the Battle of the Saints. This one is a tasty one, even with the St Johnstone players who are out due to COVID, and of course those who have to self-isolate. St Mirren, they know what's at stake as well to get into the Scottish Cup final. They haven't reached it since the 1987 one against Dundee United, Tam, which goes down again in history because of that great goal from Ian Ferguson, which denied Jim McLean yet again a chance to win the Scottish Cup.
Yeah, it's been a long time for St Mirren. I know Alex Smith was the manager, an ex-manager of mine with Scotland under-21s, an absolute legend of a guy, a gentleman, and that's something that I think he'll never forget as well. So, yep, St Mirren, been a long time since they've won the Scottish Cup final. Great opportunity on Sunday against St Johnstone. Remains to be seen who the 4 St Johnstone players are that are missing. I think Ali McCann or any of the back 3 would be a blow, but apart from that, I think they've not really got any real standout. So I think they've got a squad strong enough to cope with the 4 players if it isn't any kind of they 4. But I think St Johnstone are favourites. I think they're rightfully favourites. I've got the confidence of winning a trophy this season under their belt. They can go there and play with that confidence and that belief that they've already been there and done it. St Mirren, I think, will be a little bit nervy. They've got a lot of younger boys, I think, in their team. So I just think that little bit of experience and a little bit of know-how that St Johnstone have got could just edge it for them.
Yeah, well, as far as the 4 players that are out, Jim Goodwin, even the St Mirren boss himself, freely admits he has a certain amount of sympathy for his counterpart.
It's difficult for them, and as I say, we wish them all well. Everybody here at the club wishes them well, but we just need to try and focus on our own end and make sure that that we've got everything right at our end. And then St Johnstone with the players that are missing, I'm not going to name names, but the rumours of the players who are missing, they've got good replacements in those areas. So I don't think Callum will be overly concerned about it.
Yeah, and of course, Tam's been brilliant about it, the way he described it there, Roughie, because he said, apart from the back 3 and maybe one other, the rest won't be missed. So that's been a right dampener on it for them. But one of them is the keeper, because basically he's picked up an injury, and it looks as if they've got an emergency 7-day loan signing of Zdenek Lamal from Hearts. Yet again, he's had to step in.
Oh, wow. I'm going to go for St Johnstone. I was going to go for St Mirren.
No, the boy Parish will play, wouldn't he?
This is St Johnstone. This is St Johnstone who've got
Clark's injured.
Clark's out. Xander Clark's out.
But Parish will play.
Yeah, but surely Zamal won't be playing. Sure, it'll be Parish.
Aye, Parish.
I'm just suggesting to you that maybe who knows. What happens if Xander Clark's picked up an injury? What happens if Parishes get COVID?
Even if Zamal was on the bench, I'd be panicking. In case he come on.
I think he's that bad, actually.
It's a bit harsh.
I think it's a bit harsh. I don't think he's that bad.
Let's have a comment for the Hearts fans to see what they think about that move.
Yeah.
If they had Messi in their team, we'd still be disappointed.
Yeah, well.
I think St Johnstone are I think the St Johnstone are the forum team, but I want St Mirren to win it. St Johnstone have won the cup. The fans have rejoiced in it. The players have rejoiced in it. Everybody said, give somebody else a chance. Let St Mirren get to the final win. And I saw that wee exclusive this morning about St Mirren winning it the last time, and I just saw the photos of the players that St Mirren had back then. That was a proper St Mirren team. The players they had, McGarvey, McDowell, Ferguson, Fitzpatrick. What a really, really good St Mirren team that was that day.
Yeah, Lambert played as well.
Lambert.
To be fair,
I've tried to think the rest of them, but it was a very good side.
Roughie, is there any chance you and Tam can stop actually just baseball batting people without thinking about it? What a line that is, Charlie. That was a proper St Mirren side. That's a boot where the sun don't shine, isn't it?
I know, especially these lads.
If this team go and win it, then they'll be up there with them, but they haven't won it yet. That team won it.
Yeah, but I've been impressed by the way you're talking about Zlamal coming in. Charlie Parish is one of the guys who's rumoured to be one of the 4. And if Clark's picked up an injury, suddenly it could change things.
Alan Main might be getting back soon.
I'd rather have Alan Main.
Listen, now you. Oh, I'll tell you one thing, by the way. You wouldn't say that if that was a Celtic or a Rangers goalkeeper, by the way. You'd be ducking for cover. I've never seen you so unbelievably forthright.
If that
was a Celtic or Rangers goalkeeper, you'd be cowering because you'd be getting leathered.
You never asked me about Marciano. Marciano to Celtic. You having a Scooby-Doo. He's another one.
I never mentioned it was him.
Mr. Flapper Marciano.
Oh my
Right,
God.
okay. Well, there you are.
I think he'd go to Aberdeen. I think he'd be good for Aberdeen.
Marciano.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's a bit
okay, there's... Now, that's a different argument. But is that the level that Celtic are looking at? Who knows? We'll wait to see. But nevertheless, Zlamal's in as a goalkeeper. And who are we to argue with Roughie? He was a top-drawer goalkeeper himself. As far as St Johnstone are concerned, even with all those injuries, I think Callum Davison feels confident on the basis that these players know what it's like now to win a cup.
I think you want more. I think once you get it, I think we all know, once you get that little bit of success, you get a taste of it. I think you drive towards it. I think when I got the job, I did want success. And, I think the question was, I didn't quite expect what we would achieve this season. So once I've got it now, I think it's a great opportunity to try and get some more. And, it won't be through lack of effort from the players or for the coaching staff. So we'll have a right go. But yeah, I definitely do. Success, you kind of want more after that.
Charlie, he's been magnificent. Let's not forget, Callum Davison was the assistant when St Johnstone won the Scottish Cup. He's guided them to the League Cup victory, and now he could actually, in his own right, be the manager guiding them to a Scottish Cup win. It would be an incredible, back catalogue. I thought he was a good player as well, Charlie.
Yeah, no, he was a very good player, and I said, earlier in the season when they go through that good run, I think there'll be clubs looking at him in the summer as a manager. First season there, he's got good allegiance with Preston, who are looking for a manager. If he goes and wins that Scottish Cup, his stock's very, very high, and definitely clubs will be looking at him. But he's turned it around from where they were at the start of the season to then, get a settled team, have a formation that they understood that was right for the group of players that he had, and they've done brilliant. I'll just have to wait to see what happens Sunday and on who's missing. But if it's, like Tam said, if it's 2 or 3 of their key players, then I wouldn't have any fear of seeing St Mirren getting a result at it.
Yeah, they've got a bonus because Marcus Fraser has just signed a 2-year deal. Now, usually, if you sign a deal, Tam, Charlie, Roughie, you can look back to the times when you managed to get a new deal, more money, longer contract, bit of security. Usually, you're as high as a kite, you're smiling, you're laughing, you're bouncing off every question that comes your way. Here's Marcus after signing a 2-year deal.
Yeah, of course, that's brilliant for me moving forward, and the next 2 years. I know where I'm going to be, so no, I've really enjoyed this season. Played a lot of games and the team's kind of done well on the pitch, and I've fitted into that. So no, I'm really looking forward to the next couple of years, definitely.
Well, he just hasn't told his face yet, Tam, that he's looking forward to it because I don't know about you. I'd hate to be partying with him after a cup final win, Tam.
I was going to say that. Aye, I was going to say that. He's not bad at a laugh, is he? He signed a new deal, few extra quid in his tail. He should be jumping for joy. He's absolutely gutted.
Absolutely. Good player.
He is a good player. Yeah, I've seen him a couple of weeks ago down at Rugby Park. Good player, bit of experience about him. I think he was at Celtic as a kid, come through the ranks, so had a good upbringing. And yeah, he'll play. I think he'll play maybe left back or in the centre defence. And I think he'll be key because, as I said to you, I watched St Mirren against Kilmarnock and there's quite a lot of young boys in the team. Jake Doyle-Hayes, McGrath's quite young. Gus McPherson's boy played, young boy out on the right. So they've got quite a young team. So it'll be interesting to see how they cope with that semi-final, that big game atmosphere at Hampden.
Yeah, absolutely. Charlie, do you remember that day when your agent says to you, by the way, Liverpool are interested? Do you remember the day you signed for them? I mean, you must have been as high as a kite.
Tam, I was delighted every time my agent phoned me and said, listen, the club want to get you a new deal. I just said, where do I sign? No, I never had a pay rise in my life. in any of my contracts. I was just happy to sign another contract. Negotiations were easier. I said, where do I sign? And that was it. It was good. And that's what you want as a player. You've got to be, if you're happy somewhere and you get an opportunity to re-sign, because you never know what's going to happen in football. It could be over so quickly. So when you get the opportunity, you got to sign it. And Marcus Fraser wasn't obviously too happy with his agent signing a new deal.
Must have been happy with his 40
sure.
grand a week at Liverpool.
Yeah, well, he was by because
you don't need to try and get 45, didn't you know?
Tam, I can remember there was a Europa League game. There was a Europa League game, and I'm the trackside reporter, and he's coming out the Liverpool top at the tunnel, tapping the top of the Anfield. It doesn't get any better, does it, Charlie? I mean, honestly, I looked at you, beaming with pride for you.
No, I remember walking out at Tynecastle as well and getting dogs abuse the week before. So it's no. Listen, when you're at a big club like Rangers or Liverpool, it is special, and you treat every game as it could be your last, and that's what I try to do, especially at Liverpool. I embraced every game and every moment, and unfortunately for me, it was only for a year, but it's a year more than what some others got.
That's a great way to look at it. That's absolutely the way you should look at these things. I always say that. Don't need to say it to Roughie because the big man's get a full bank of unbelievable memories, and Tam, people would give their right arm to play at the level that you've played at as well. So you should be tremendously proud of it. Now you've got to just try.
Missed it,
What?
Playing in that Irish league. Got it.
Yeah.
Absolutely got it.
you just going to savage everyone today.
It was one of my ambitions.
Roughie, did you ever have a chance to get to one of the big clubs?
Aye, that's me Betty. He'll tell you them all. Man City, Middlesbrough.
Liverpool.
It was unbelievable.
Just wouldn't let you go?
Yeah.
Wouldn't let me go.
Yeah. I think that's the other thing about it.
Me being an idiot and no having an agent, just sat there and went, all right, I'll wait to the next one.
But it was different though, Roughie. Clubs had a real stranglehold in players like yourself. Had you been playing now, you'd have been a millionaire.
Well, I think any player now, a decent team would be a millionaire now with the wages you're getting. My biggest disappointing, Charlie, was I was supposed to be going to Middlesbrough and home internationals, and Middlesbrough phoned me up and said, look, by time home internationals are finished, Wales on the Saturday, Ireland on the Wednesday, and England. After the England game at Hampden, you'll be a Middlesbrough player. And I turned up, played the 2 games, turned up at Hampden. An hour and a half before the game, Alec Cameron for the Daily Record met me as I walked in the door before the England game, and he said to me, you must be gutted. I says, what are you talking about? He says, Middlesbrough have just signed Jim Stewart. I said, how did that happen? He said, well, they wanted the 100,000 up front, and Partey wanted it up front. Kilmarnock didn't want it. They'll take it in payment, so they signed him. My first reaction was, could you not have told me after the game? Could you not have told me? I'm just going to play England in an hour and a half. It's not something I really wanted in the back of my mind. But I never thought about it. But these are the things that happened that we didn't know about. But if you have an agent now, you would have known all these things.
Absolutely. Roughie, you'd have been playing in the top flight without a shadow of doubt. Listen, the other great thing about it is if you play in the top flight, you are, as Roughie is today, which has totally amazed me. I don't know whether he's, taken the same potion that the Nutty Professor took in the movie, but he's just absolutely savaging everybody. This is punditry of the highest order today. So with that in mind, who's going to win the semi-final, St Johnstone or St Mirren, Roughie?
I'm going to go for St Mirren just for the romanticism of the semi-final. As I said, St Johnstone have won it, and well done to them, well done to the players. I'd like the St Mirren players to win it, and the manager. I've been impressed with the manager coming up through the ranks, and be another step for him.
I'm going to cut you some slack, and I'm going to cut all of you some slack because we don't know the 4 players. It's asking you to call it. It could be key players. It may well alter your decision the closer you get to it. So, Tam.
if Xander Clark and Parish are both out and Lamal comes in, I'd have to be fancying St Mirren, but we don't know that. Hopefully Parish or Clark are fit. If they are, I think St Johnstone will win.
Yeah. Charlie?
I'll go 1-1. I'll sit on the fence. Penalties.
Yeah. And what happens? Everybody just goes home after the penalties?
I would just wait. 17-all. and I'll just go for St Johnstone.
St Johnstone, okay. It's a tough call. It's a tough one, actually, with those players. You know what? I can't see past St Johnstone. I still think St Johnstone will win it as well, but it's all about opinions. You've got them here. The fixtures for the new season, 2021-2022. Can you believe we're through? Hopefully the worst of it, and fans will get back in shortly. It's going to kick off on July 31st. The season, the clubs will find out the fixture schedule on June 15th at 9 o'clock in the morning. And remember, by the way, the winter break will return next season, which means that Roughie is already hoping that certain countries come out of the red zone so that he can go on a winter break holiday. Simple as that.
Is that winter
Roughie,
break just for the Premier League?
Yes.
Oh, we need to get in
You
that.
better win that playoff.
Oh, we need to get in there. A wee week's holiday at Christmas.
Yeah, don't make it Dubai. Apparently, nobody likes Dubai in this country, so don't make it there, Charlie.
I'll be straight on that flight to Dubai at night. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. Roughie, what did you make of the comments from Stuart Robertson? Clearly, he's a man perplexed by the SFA and the SPFL over their, well, first and foremost, ambition, their lack of any kind of urgency to the proposal for the Colts sides to go into the lower leagues. He's criticised the SFA for failing to fully submit the Old Firm Colts proposal to the other clubs. Subsequently, we're now getting the Lowland League looking at it, and it could happen there. What do you think of his criticism?
Well, the thing about it again, it's not where we were, where it's one side looking after their own and the other side aren't. But I think that comes into the equation. I mean, Rangers and Celtic are looking after their club. They want their young players out there playing. They want their young players to mature quicker. And if they mature quicker, some of them will be first-team players at Rangers and Celtic, and I don't have a problem with that. Some of the clubs in the lower league will see that as a cash advantage, and that remains to be seen whether that will work or no. But I think you've got to buy into it. You've got to buy into the fact for your club, and I'm talking about the Lowland League clubs, who will get more income. But the facts of the matter is how it's going to work is always a problem. We don't know what the do's and don'ts are, and until these clubs see that, in black and white in front of them, I'm talking about the promotion stuff, because there's
no promotion
clubs further. Well, we don't know yet, Charlie. There wasn't any promotion in the first and second division, but I don't know if it's the same in the Lowland League. And the teams
Rangers,
the teams further down in the Lowland League will have something to say about it as well, if there's no room for them to come up. So there's lots of things that have got to be spoke about.
Yeah. If Rangers win the league, it'll be ever who finishes second will get promoted. Rangers don't want to get promoted next season, and it's only for 1 year. The Lowland.
Yeah,
well,
it is only for
Rangers. It's only a one season.
It is only for 1 season. It's a 1 season deal. But the initial point that I'm making, this is what Stuart Robertson had to say about the whole proposal to the lower league clubs, not the lower league, the lower league. We've been frustrated with the lack of transition pathway for our young players. We felt with everything that's happened with COVID, let's make some changes to the game and come out on the front foot. And we went through the professional game board where it was approved. It then went through the SPFL where it was approved. It then went to the SFA board where things started to slow down. One of the biggest frustrations is it still hasn't gone to the clubs. They still haven't been presented with the paper. You have to ask the SPFL and the SFA why that is. There is no innovation coming from the authorities. These kind of things should be led by the SPFL and the SFA, and we are just not seeing that. If we want to take our game forward, we have to see more initiative and innovations coming from the top. Well, I agree with them. I think I think it's a slow organisation. I think it's antiquated. I think it needs to be in some way completely refurbished. I still go back to the fact that I think it needs somebody with a real marketing head on to galvanise and reignite our game and take it to another level by pushing it out there and putting a real gloss on it. And it needs innovative thinking, Tam, and I don't see it from either end of it at the moment.
No. Listen, the SPFL and the SFA, listen, everything's slow. We know that. Everything's got to be checked over 1,000 times before it's ratified. And Stuart Robertson's speaking there. You know, he's always taking Rangers in that division. The Lowland League, I think it'd be great. I think that Celtic Rangers fans would really get behind it as well. And as you said, the clubs in that Lowland League, you might get 600, 700, 800 fans there. Celtic Rangers fans, if Celtic are away from home. You know, you might see a lot of supporters turning up to see the next generation or young boys coming through, because, as we know, all supporters like to spot the young boy coming through and say to their pals, "Well, this boy's coming through, and that boy, he's going to make it," and they like to go and watch the young kids. So, I think it'd be good. I think that it's different from a loan deal because you're going to be playing in a system that is the same as the first team. So, if Rangers play 4-3-3 in the first team, their Colts team will play 4-3-3. They'll play the similar style. Whereas if young lads go out on loan, sometimes it can be longer ball, different systems. So I think it would be great for Celtic Rangers in terms of the young boys coming through and playing in that system and getting the experience they need against seasoned professionals. So I am personally, I'm all for it. But the only sticking point I think with a lot of fans is, Peter, that should they start at the very, very lowest level, i.e. is it the West of Scotland League, is that level 6 or 7? Should they go right down to the bottom and kind of work their way up, or should they start in the SPFL or the Lowland League? I think that's a sticking point in a lot of people's throats about where Celtic Rangers should start.
Yeah, I don't think no harm to the West League, Charlie. I don't think they should be going to that level. I don't think that does them any favours.
No, you know, it's not right for these young kids who want to learn the game. You know, it doesn't matter what level you get. You get a couple of idiots that are playing there that could ruin their careers. You know, so no, I think the Lowland League is a great option for them. You know, they want to go in there for one season to get that experience, and they're willing to subsidise with financial input to the teams as well. And I think it's a huge boost for Rangers and Celtic if they can. Obviously, Hibs are in a sort of partnership with Stenhousemuir, and I think that's what worked quite well with their young players going on loan there. So it'd be great for Rangers Celtic to go into the lower league, bring a bit of publicity to it as well, and you like say, like Stuart Robertson said in his interview, maybe try and get a little TV deal, or bring other supporters in there where they can generate more funds. So I'm all for it, and I think it'll definitely benefit the young players of the old firm.
Yeah, for Celtic fans out there who are wondering when there's going to be some kind of press release on the manager, there's been a deathly silence around Celtic at the moment. No information, no real insight into what's happening. I think most Celtic fans that I speak to are utterly bemused at what's been happening. Not only since Neil Lennon is gone, but the whole year has been a farce, a shambles. And now they've got a statement which has been sent out to a number of Celtic fans that says the club is working hard to complete the appointment of the new manager and relevant football staff, and will be doing all we can to confirm this as soon as possible to our supporters. Rightly, there will always be a huge appetite for information from our supporters. Unfortunately, we are not able to make regular public comment on this matter, but we fully understand and appreciate the need to complete this process as soon as we can. We also acknowledge and understand the frustration of our supporters during this process, but our objective, of course, is to ensure that we secure the best candidate possible to take the club forward, and this is our focus. We are now in a transitional period in respect of our Chief Executive handover. Peter Lowell, our CEO, is working closely with incoming CEO Dominic Mackay on a successful handover to ensure that we are ready for next season across all aspects of the club, with considerable planning and preparatory work already undertaken. Well, that says nothing about anything. And quite simply, Roughie, this is a situation where they've been forced into it. This statement it just shows you the complete lack of leadership at the moment and understanding of what's going on, because they were forced into that because supporters were getting angrier and angrier by the day, asking them what is happening.
And quite rightly so. The Celtic supporters have went through a horrendous season. They've just seen them losing their captain, losing their manager, losing their CEO, losing the league, losing practically everything. And they haven't been kept informed. And the only way they get out of it is if there is things getting done behind the scenes. If when the big statement comes, it's all fire and fireworks and everything, and it has to be that. It has to be spectacular. It has to be one after the other. A manager, players coming in, the calibre of player, the quality of player, spending money. That's the only one that will get the fans back on board, and it's a hard task for whoever it is that comes in. But you're right, they have to be doing things behind the scenes, because if we're at the moment, I mean, you think they've got the guy in and you think they're doing it behind the scenes. Imagine it's the case they don't. Imagine we're sitting here right now and they don't have a manager who's going to come in. That is a horrible thought, I think, for a lot of Celtic fans.
Well, the one thing that you did get wrong, Roughie, and Charlie picked up on it right away. He says, when they eventually do announce it, it'll be all fireworks. All the fireworks in Scotland have been used by the Rangers fans now. There's no more fireworks left in the entire country.
Right.
No, there'll be a few. There'll be a few when it does unveil. It's a big institute, Celtic, and the Celtic supporters will be obviously disappointed that the whole 10 in a row collapsed in this season, and everybody, it seems that everything wants to break up, captain leaving, CEO leaving. But Dermot Desmond's a businessman. He'll be doing his work behind the scenes. He'll be making sure everything is in line when it's right to announce it. Like you said, Peter, I'm for you that I think everything's agreed, and Eddie Howe will just be waiting for his backroom staff that are still at Bournemouth in a playoff, trying to get to the Premier League before any announcement will be made, and then that's why I think then the decision will come out and everybody will know where they're going with it.
Yeah, Tam,
Peter, I personally don't think it's a done deal till Tam tweets it.
Well, I mean, this is the norm.
Tam to Tam's eyes.
Well, he's not. He's got that same look. He's got that same look Marcus Fraser has when he signed his 2-year deal, but he's now not frozen and he's back with us. All I would say, Tam, well, they were wondering. Yeah, he'd slaughtered you. But all I would say, Tam, about Celtic is, I do believe they've got their man. I've been resolute on that. I don't think they will have a shambles coming their way with no manager in place. I think they have their man. My criticism of the club is, even in these dark days of winning nothing, somebody should just have come out and said, look, earlier than this statement, stick with us. It's been a bad season, or do an interview. Do it with anybody other than Club TV and hold your hands up and say, it's been a bad season. We've made mistakes. We've got the guy we think will turn this club around. We're a big club and we've made mistakes. We're sorry. Let's move on. Get behind us. Because fans are sitting there and they're wondering, I'm going to buy a season ticket. My hard-earned money. It's been a tough year. I'm struggling for cash. Am I going to commit it to this club? Are they serious about what's going to happen next season? Even say, if they don't want to reveal the predicament of the manager, Tam, just say to the fans, and by the way, Dermot and the board are determined to come out fighting. Take my word for it. That's all they needed, even from Dominic Mackay, who's an incoming chief executive. Roll the flag up and say the fight is on, but nothing.
You need to change the whole atmosphere about the club, Peter. The fans are scunnered with the season that they've just had. They're obviously worried about the new manager coming in. They want to know who it is. But I think you're absolutely spot on everything you said there. Come out and say, listen, we've got someone in mind. It's taken a little bit of time, but we've got our man. And we'll announce it as soon as possible. And what Charlie said was a good point as well. Bournemouth are in the playoffs. It wouldn't be fair on them for them Celtic to announce Eddie Howe, and Eddie Howe's going to bring in the guys from Bournemouth now. So I think it's all been done very respectfully, and that doesn't help the Celtic supporters who are desperate for information. So they should have sat down and said, as you said, listen, we're up for the fight. We've got someone in mind. It's taken a little bit of time, but rest assured that we'll be ready to go with a new manager next season. And I think it would have settled a lot of Celtic fans' nerves. But the fact that they've come out and said nothing, or the fact they've come out today and it's a nothing statement, it just adds fuel to the fire. And as you said, Celtic fans this season, next season, it might be a lot of them watching it in the house again. So it's a hard sell for people to fork out £500-600 for a season ticket, and they're going to be watching it in the house again. So they need something, Celtic fans. They need a bit of information, a bit of hope, and they're just not getting it. And I think that's a big problem.
A number of players will be heading out the door. I know Vidar Riseth says that Celtic should pull out all the stops to keep El Yunusi. There are a number of players that I think will be heading out the door. Roughie, sadly, one of them, I understand his predicament. Shane Duffy has released a statement on his departure 2 games early. This is what he had to say. Grateful for the opportunity to get the chance to play for a club that many dream about doing. Thanks to the supporters and the players for helping me through a tough year on and off the field. Not many know what goes on behind the scenes. Time to hit the restart button and get myself sorted. Celtic Football Club will always have a place in my heart. Well, I think for every fan, every football fan and decent person would say, Roughie, whatever went on in Shane Duffy's life in the background, our heart goes out to him. And over and above that, we really do hope he can kickstart his career. He just wasn't at the level that Celtic needed at the time.
Yeah, it's one a lot of people have been scratching their head at, because in record on his CV, he is a top player, playing in a top league, captain of the national side, a mainstay in the national side, not coming to Celtic in any loss of form or anything like that, still coming in at the top of his game whenever he's playing. And to come into our league, you would have thought it would have been a no-brainer that he would just slot in and just get on with it and be the player he is. But for some unknown reason, it never happened. And if it is things behind the scene that, again, people don't really know or understand or have the knowledge of it, then so be it. So, yeah, I think you just have to say to him, all the best, and I hope everything, however long you want to play for, you have a successful season. But sometimes it happens at a club when somebody goes there and it just doesn't work. You've just got to hold your hands up. But it's a puzzle for me how it never worked with the centre halves that Celtic had at their disposal. And you have to say that I thought he was as good or not better than them, but it never worked. So it's a tough one to get your head around.
Yeah, Tam, what do you make of the signings elsewhere? Declan Gallagher signed a pre-contract. Incidentally, all 3 of Stephen Glass's Aberdeen signings so far are over 30.
Yeah, I think he's looking at adding a bit of experience to the team. I think that Declan Gallagher is an excellent signing. I looked at Declan and I thought, is he good enough for the English Championship? Possibly not. But he's certainly good enough for an Aberdeen or a Hibs or a Hearts. So I felt as if one of those 3 clubs would have been where he was going. And Aberdeen have managed to get him on a 2-year deal. I think he's a commanding centre-half. He defends the box well. He attacks everything in the air. And I think it's a good bit of business for Stephen Glass. And you look at some of the other players that Stephen's been linked with. I know he's been linked with Jamie McGrath as well. So I think Aberdeen, they've got a few quid in their tail. I think Stephen Glass will have a good budget. And if that's the calibre of signings that he's looking at, guys like that, international players in, I think the Dons will be a force next season.
Yeah, Charlie, we were talking about the fact that we'd love to see fans getting back in. Well done to the lower league playoffs have been moved to allow fans to get in. I mean, obviously, we are anticipating the government will confirm crowds of maybe up to 500 after May 17th. So they've moved the League One final and the League Two final to dates after May 17th, which is, I think, a good May 20th and May 23rd will give fans a chance to get in there and enjoy it.
Yeah, sorry, go back to the Aberdeen thing. If you look at Aberdeen, the Marciano thing, it looks like Stephen's trying to build the spine of his team first with experience. Marciano, as a goalkeeper would be a good sign if they were getting him. Gallagher, Brown, things like that. So he's trying to get that spine right first and then trying to fit the jigsaw puzzles around that. So it's a good piece of business. But going on that, I heard this morning that the playoff final for us, if we get there, we'll have 500 fans at the home game and the away game. So it'll be great to have the fans in, and it's all what we've been waiting for. And hopefully, like you say, we can get there and we can enjoy having the supporters back.
Any comments?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Good point, Tam. Good point. Always think
Can't
of a
we get
night
family
out.
in?
Yeah.
No,
Oh dear. Yeah, absolutely. Listen,
We'll
the
be able
good
to
news
see
is,
it on
Tam.
We'll be able to see it on Alba TV. Will it be hard to hear Charlie Adam?
No, I have to tell you.
Oh my God! Nobody's safe for
It's just outrageous. I have to tell you, by the way, a couple of my friends work for Alba, and it's good. They're doing well. And thanks to Alec Kelly, who says, Peter, have you combed your hair with a candy apple today? It was one of those days I was out. I was out filming. I mean, for God's sake, cut me some slack. You know, I was out in the mad weather today. 1 minute it was sunny, the next minute it was blowing a gale, and then we had to quickly get home and make sure we were ready for this. But no, listen. Couple of things I want to get your thoughts on, lads. Seems to be, Tam, a real clamour for KieranTierney to be the next Arsenal captain. I don't know where they're going, Arsenal. I wonder if he'll even be at Arsenal. They're out of the Europa League. I thought they were poor last night. They're just a shadow of the old Arsenal, aren't they?
I would hate to be an Arsenal fan. They're just getting nothing about them. Oof. They're just they're spineless. They're just, honestly, they never even had a goal last night. You know, I think they had a goal the last 5 minutes. But KieranTierney needs to get out of there. For me, he's too good for Arsenal. KieranTierney could play for anybody in the Premiership. I genuinely mean that. So Arsenal for me are now a top 8 team, maybe a top 8, maybe a top 6 team at best. He needs to get out of there, and I think in the summer possibly with a few bigger clubs in for him with bigger money, and he could maybe move on. So I think he's wasted there. I think he's too good for Arsenal. Yeah. Honestly, I do.
Charlie, is he better than Zinchenko?
Well, he's better than Ake for me as well at Man City. I've said on this show and I've said in other programmes I've done, you know, I expect the big ones to come from Real Madrid, Man City. I think he is that good. I think he's got that potential as well. And you know, Arsenal will obviously demand a big fee, and it's a rapid rise from where he was, you know, at Celtic and then to Arsenal, and then I still believe he's got another big move in him, and he's a terrific player, and you know, hopefully he stays fit and he's ready for the Euros in the summer.
Yeah, if you thought Marcus Fraser was on a downer with his new 2-year deal, here's Mikel Arteta after being pumped out of the Europa League.
We have to show that on the pitch. It's not about talking. We are hugely disappointed because we wanted to deliver something special against them after the difficult season that we had. But when you're playing these knockout games, you need your best players at your best. And there's too many things happened when we didn't have enough of those in the best possible condition.
Well, so great for Villarreal and great for Unai Emery just to go back there and win at his old club. The other team who are in the final, and I don't know about you, Roughie, I love Edinson Cavani. I mean, he's just sensational. That's the type of striker you'd love to play alongside. If there's a fight, he's overprotecting his teammates and fighting with somebody. If there's a ball in the box, you know that he's watching the defender and running into an area that can hurt the other team. He's brilliant.
Yeah, he's been fantastic all the way through his career. Doesn't matter who he plays at, what you see is what you get. And I would absolutely, I'd be 100% that he scores in the final as well. He's that kind of player. That's why you buy that kind of player. That's why you give him the wages that he wants. Because he's a winner and he wins you cups and he wins you games. And I think he will be the match winner in the final.
Yeah, Charlie, can you imagine playing in the middle of the park with your ability to pick a pass and he's your striker?
Yeah, he's still top class, isn't he? Can you imagine, do you think they regret signing Sanchez instead of maybe taking him a few years ago? You know,
yeah.
He would have been phenomenal, you know. Just a player I've always liked, even at PSG and things like that. But last night he had a chance similar to the one he had. He missed it, and then the next time he went through, he just lashed it as hard as he can past the goalkeeper. And he's a top player, and you know it's it's somebody like a Rashford or a Mason Greenwood just learning every day from these top centre forwards. If they want to go and play as a number 9, how he does it, and it's he's phenomenal. And I think Man United will be delighted that he's going to stay for another season.
They've got a tough schedule,
absolutely.
Peter, Man United, I think they've got 4 games in 8 days, so that will really stretch that 40-man squad they've got at Old Trafford.
I know, but the thing won't bother them because they've got nothing to really play for, have they? The league they're in the Champions League anyway because they're a league. So, the Europa League, you could probably put the reserves out against Liverpool.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing about it, listen, it's a good line that you said there, Tam. Your 40-man squads, you're right, and of course, and great credit. I'd love to be in the journalist sitting there and saying, yeah, Pep, you spent over $1 billion. Tell me how you've won the Champions League. It would be phenomenal, Tam. But unfortunately, I get my head kicked in at the end of it. Last little point, Tam, this weekend is fantastic because it's the weekend when Pep and Man City hopefully batter Chelsea, and that allows Davy Moyes to get West Ham to beat Everton, and suddenly they're back in the old Champions League place, Tam. That would be fantastic.
Yes, I think that's a straight fight now. I think that Man United and Leicester, that's your top 3, with Man City, and then straight shootout, West Ham and Chelsea. Chelsea could have one eye on the Champions League, but listen, I think West Ham, if they can get a result against Everton, I think the last 2 or 3 games they should win. So they've got a real opportunity to get in that top 4. And for Davy Moyes and West Ham to get them into the top 4 with hardly spending a penny would be unbelievable. Fairy tale stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we always like to be innovative. We like to be forward-thinking. And I don't know if you've noticed it on Facebook now, but there's usually, I don't know if you've noticed it, Roughie, Charlie and Tam will almost certainly, there's usually a section where people have a shop thing where you can buy things. You get those little bits on Facebook where it comes up, you can buy this thing, Tam, and you can click on it and it takes you to the shop.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, they do that, but there's another wee section, Tam, that they've got now in Facebook where they have celebrities from all across the world who basically, if you click through, Charlie, have you seen this? You click through and you say to them, can you send a message to my son or daughter or whatever, or my best mate? They record it, you pay them a few quid. And then
50 quid in that, yeah.
They send it to you.
I've had a few people ask me to, yeah.
Oh, well, absolutely. No surprise, Charlie. But on the evidence of today, don't forget, if you're feeling high as a kite, you're looking forward to a semi-final, we will give you the link, and Roughie will basically put you on a downer and send you a message just leathering you, your son, your daughter, and everybody. It's as simple as that.
What of them with the daily?
Only because he cuts. Unbelievable.
It's only because he's been celebrating all week, innit? He's taking it all out on us. It's just because he's been celebrating all week, innit? He's on a downer now.
It's a nightmare working with losers.
That is Roughie. That is the catchphrase of the weekend. That's good enough. We can take it there then. Listen, I can tell you at this point, please, if you are a fan of PLZ Soccer and the Football Show, we've got a poll on at this moment on Twitter and Facebook up until Wednesday for you to vote on your team of the season. Pick the best players and come up with a team. We've had Gabriel Antoniazzi, our reporter, coming up with a team of the week. Every week he's been getting battered from pillar to post. It's now your chance to tell us who's the best player in each position. Pick your team of the season. It's on our Twitter at PLZ Soccer, and it's on our Facebook as well. We don't take your support of this programme for granted, or indeed our site, but what I can tell you right now is if you go into the App Store or indeed Google Play and put in PLZ Soccer, you'll get the app, and it means that you can actually watch the programme on your phone. You'll never miss the programme, and it gives you all the news from Scottish football, English football, European and world football as well. All the breaking news is there, and of course all our unique video content, including any live notifications. So we'd love you to join the football family. To each and every one of you who contributes, thank you very much. From Tam, Charlie and Roughie and myself, Peter Martin, enjoy the Scottish Cup semi-final weekend. Behind that strip is basically Tam McManus.
Come on, the high bees!
There he is. Come on, the high bees. I leave you with that thought of Tam McManus. And just if you'd seen it there, if you'd held it up for long enough,
yeah, I see that.
See Yeah, there it is. There's his ring, and his wife is just to the left-hand side of that, telling him what to say on today's show. From everyone here, good luck to everybody in the semi-finals. Thanks for watching.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit